political prisoners remain in jail despite several days of their release order was issued. Families of political prisoners continue gathering in front of Venezuela's prisons as internal conflicts within the government prevent strict adherence to the orders issued by President Delcy Rodríguez on behalf of President Donald Trump. It is likely that Minister of Interior and Justice Diosdado Cabello, along with Minister of Defense Vladimir Padrino Lopez, might not be sufficiently pleased with this release order of political prisoners, which doesn't make any political sense anyway, because political prisoners used to work for political parties whose leaders are no longer relevant as they live in exile, such as Leopoldo López or María Corina Machado. Opposition leadership has had ample opportunities of dealing with Venezuelan funds, as was the case with Citgo Petroleum Corporation, and their audit results have been deplorable, as we see opposition leadership full of money, mostly from USAID and other non-governmental organizations, while political results of such opposition has been null except for incarceration of their supporters. We sincerely hope that this week that starts will see release of political prisoners, as if Venezuela continues stuck on this issue for too long, a second wave of United States bombardment would be likely. Donald Trump wrote a note that Venezuelan petroleum will no longer flow to Cuba without payment, which seems adequate to recent developments, as PDVSA had earlier issued a statement that no petroleum can leave Venezuela without payment. The strange thing is that Donald Trump claims that Venezuela's oil is being sold at $84 a barrel, as he made a calculation of $4.2 billion crude shipment containing 50 million barrels. So it is interesting because instead of oil being sold at a discount, it is being sold at a substantial premium. We will be looking for further cues as time goes by, as the financial arrangements for Venezuela seem to be improving significantly. Secretaries of Energy and Treasury are following up on Venezuela arrangements. It looks like the International Monetary Fund will soon be able to make resources available for Venezuela's development, and positive replies to Donald Trump are already being issued by most of the oil industry executives who met last Friday in the White House. ExxonMobil is likely not to participate in Venezuela's oil industry reconstruction, as they have behaved too picky. They are asking for impossible conditions, And Donald Trump just does not want to deal with such a complicated company when there is an abundance of other oil majors and intermediates and minors willing to invest all the way into Venezuela right now. Donald Trump might meet with President Delcy Rodríguez eventually. He says she is a nice lady, acting very kind. However, Delcy Rodríguez's discourse domestically remains hardline socialist, and her foreign minister continues deploring members of the international community who disagree with him. Delcy Rodríguez might eventually have to change her foreign minister, as Ivan Hill seems too entrenched into socialism and communism, while Venezuela needs a foreign policy more determined on business-friendly conditions. Venezuela may not continue subsidizing Cuba, and Cuba will have to either negotiate with the United States or be prepared to regime change. Regime change operations performed by the United States in Latin America are becoming highly successful as they count with significant support of the population, while China, Russia, and Iran are increasingly perceived as traitors, as they sold us a lot of military equipment which resulted faulty. None of that equipment could save former President Nicolás Maduro, and the governments of Iran, Russia, and China only issue diplomatic statements which are worthless, as United States has comfortably taken possession of Venezuela, and during the next 3 years we expect to have Venezuela run remotely from the United States. Delcy Rodríguez will be welcome to continue in her post as acting president as long as she obeys Donald Trump administration of the United States. Financial arrangements with Cuba will no longer be possible as they were before. Cuban security guards for the president have already been killed, and there are no other business propositions acceptable to Venezuela coming from Cuba. It is uncertain if there is anyone in the Diaz-Canel government similar to Delcy Rodríguez who might act as acting president of Cuba once Miguel Diaz-Canel is thrown out of power. President of Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega, who is probably the most intelligent of all of them, has taken notice of these developments, and he has freed political prisoners within Nicaragua, so that pressure from the United States fades and concentrates more into Cuba and into Venezuela's compliance. Minister of Interior and Justice Diosdado Cabello is nowhere to be seen. His social media reports on communal activities of acting President Delcy Rodríguez and other branches of government. Speculation arises that he might start hiding as United States officials are becoming increasingly frustrated as political prisoners were supposed to be released and they haven't been released, and a lot of power regarding prisons derives precisely from Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello. Many checkpoints are being installed in all Venezuelan roads, streets, avenues, and highways, which is a hassle for motorists. Going out to the street with your cellular phone is not recommended, as the police and colectivos are likely to search contents of your private chats. They are asking for CIA agents and American citizens. The United States has issued a warning for American citizens to immediately leave Venezuela, which would probably make sense as there is a minority of collectives who still supports the government that will be voicing anti-imperialist propaganda, but the majority of the population who remained silent during all these years is finally feeling liberated and will welcome more waves of United States incursion if necessary. Donald Trump said that no more incursions of United States are necessary. However, so much time without having our political prisoners released is very concerning and might induce Donald Trump to change his mind and begin an aggressive operation against those people responsible of not liberating political prisoners. When Delcy Rodríguez was vice president, she used to boast about impressive figures of economic development. However, in street day-to-day life, we do not see that economic development arriving yet. We are still counting on Donald Trump to gather his oil production team to come into Venezuela so that new jobs become available. While inflation and devaluation increase, the differential of official exchange rates of United States dollar and the free market rate has doubled, and inefficiencies in foreign exchange mechanisms widen, and those mechanisms of BRICS countries to perform foreign exchange transactions in local currencies, such as the yuan, the rupee, or the ruble, were always promised and never applied. Venezuela was supposed to enter a new era of multipolarity aided by Eurasian allies, and everything became a lie. Donald Trump, in just a few days, successfully took over the country, and Venezuelans expect to be run as a protectorate for the next 3 years while Donald Trump remains in office. Media coverage of the Venezuelan situation tends to be geared to political prejudices of foreign correspondents, while they are not necessarily sympathetic to economic plights suffered by Venezuelan nationals. Many supporters of the socialist regime receive a limited amount of benefits comparable to high-level supporters of traditional Venezuelan opposition, but most Venezuelans unaffiliated with political parties do not have the privilege of such sources of income. Therefore, the new petroleum investment promised by Donald Trump and programs that might be launched by the International Monetary Fund will be most welcome in the remainder of the year 2026. Media supporting the Venezuelan regime have stressed out ExxonMobil's refusal to initial investment, as they seem unwilling to allow United States quick investment into Venezuelan petroleum. It is unclear what is the true stance of President Delcy Rodríguez. She is a known socialist and she understands corporate business. She has been able to successfully maintain a revolutionary discourse within Venezuela and a business-friendly discourse in her conversations with Donald Trump's team. However, as long as she keeps Iván Gil as foreign minister, Venezuela should expect a clash of opinions, as most countries in Latin America and the Caribbean are just too happy that we got rid of Nicolás Maduro and they would like to move on. But this narrative of concentrating all foreign policy efforts in liberation of someone who probably committed crimes and is actually providing names of accomplices internationally, such as President of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, suggests that Delcy Rodríguez should just move on and form a government on her own and find another foreign minister different than Iván Gil if she wants to expedite reinsertion of Venezuela into the international community. Foreign Minister Iván Gil was not pleased with comments of the President of Uruguay regarding illegitimacy of the Maduro government, as elections were rigged, and everybody knows that is true. And that was the centerpiece why all of this United States operation, aided by most of Latin America and the Caribbean, was successful. Venezuela's international isolation will continue unless President Delcy Rodríguez removes Iván Gil from the foreign ministry and appoints somebody more according to the new kind of government she is leading. Delcy Rodríguez also has to understand that she has the possibility of getting well liked by the Venezuelan opposition, just as she is well liked by Donald Trump, and Venezuelan opposition counts as more than half of the Venezuelan populace. She might lose some support of the revolutionaries, but her government may still hold if she builds bridges with the Venezuelan opposition, which will not necessarily continue being led by the corrupt people abroad. Finding a middle ground between opposition and government is quite difficult. Observers might become radical, as at times they may be respectful of government policies, and other times they may be respectful of opposition strategies, and as they are incompatible, abrupt changes of mind may be common across the board. It is unfortunate that many supporters of the government want political prisoners to remain in prison, as they are labeled as terrorists, while prison conditions in Venezuela are dire, including one recently dead political prisoner due to inadequate human rights conditions. Once those political prisoners are liberated, they are usually forbidden to speak in social media, including those who go abroad. For the time being, Venezuela is a country that continues suffering a regime unrespectful of human rights, an opposition that has not provided any plans for the country, and Venezuela's only hope right now is that President of the United States, Donald Trump, may continue his design on making Venezuela great again.